Welcome everyone, and thanks so much for giving up some of your time tonight to participate in our AGM. It is important not only that we achieve quorum tonight, but also that you, the membership, feel engaged and have your questions answered if you have any. It was, as it was a year ago, this meeting will be a shortened version of the AGM. We will not be presenting the full roster of committee reports, but we'll focus on the financial report, the slate of officers, and acknowledging what really counts, the Casem members, and specifically the award winners this year. Most, if not all of you, probably already know me, but I'll introduce myself. I'm Margaret Burghardt, your current Casem president. I'm a primary care doc working in Ontario. My presidential term will end on July 1st of this year, when I will move to the role of past president, and Cathy Campbell will take over as president. It goes without saying that 2020 has been a unique and unusual year for Casem, as the beginning of 2021 has also been. Despite many challenges, we have been able to deliver a steady stream of quality CPD, as well as maintain a healthy financial position. The Secretary Treasurer's report will be presented later tonight. Our membership continues to grow, and 2020 was again a record year for Casem membership. Our CPD delivery has reached a larger proportion of the membership than ever before, and we are pleased and grateful for member engagement and commitment over this challenging past year. When we reflect on the year that was, we have tried to rise to the challenge. We've been more active on social media channels with infographics and messaging. We have produced call to action papers. We have collated and maintained a COVID-19 resource page, as well as the Medicine Through Movement and residence resource pages. As you are aware, what Casem has not been able to do within the restrictions of COVID is host our diploma exam and any in-person CPD, including our annual symposium. The 2021 symposium is scheduled for a virtual platform in 1 week's time. COVID pandemic restrictions permitting, we are well situated to host both the exam and the annual conference live, either later this year or in 2022 when possible. We are bolstering existing relationships and forming new ones with our medical colleague groups and professional organizations through the recent presidential tour that Cathy and I did and upcoming planned meetings. Now I'd like to review the housekeeping rules, if you will, for this meeting. Number one, you will have received all the documents for this meeting in a Dropbox, and hopefully you have had a chance to review them already. Number two, for voting on motions, we will use polls. Number three, please put any questions in the Q&A section at the bottom of the screen on your right. Executive members and head office will try to monitor these questions and either type or we'll try to verbally answer them. Number four, any comments or abstentions or opposition to a vote can be put in the chat section. This meeting is being recorded, and all comments and questions will be documented for the minutes of the meeting. Our first order of business, if we can move to the next slide, Dawn, is the approval of the agenda. So this is page 1 of the agenda, and then we'll give you a chance to quickly look at that, and then we can move on to page 2. So if we go back to page 1, Dawn, I can put forth the motion to approve the agenda. Do I have anyone seconding that? Doug Richards has seconded, and now we'll do a poll, I believe, Dawn, will we? All right. So the motion is to approve the agenda as circulated. Excellent response, just what I want to see. All right. As you can see on the agenda, the next is to review and approve the minutes of the last meeting. So the last meeting was April 30th, 2020. I will put a motion forward to approve the minutes of that last AGM on April 30th, 2020. Do I have anyone seconding that for me? I don't don't see a hand yet. Anyone want to show a hand? Rebecca, do you see one?
Some people they're saying it in the minutes.
Sorry.
So I see Brian and Dory.
Okay, so how about we see Brian Shields seconds, and then we'll put that motion if everyone would like to vote to approve the minutes of the last meeting. All right, so we have 92 approval, 8 abstain. And if the people abstaining want to put anything in the chat regarding that, please do. I'm hoping that somebody can be monitoring this chat, and if anything is concerning, bring it to our attention as we move along. All right, on that note, we'll skip down 2 slides, and I'm going to introduce the 2020-2021 Board of Directors. Myself as president this past year, Cathy Campbell as president-elect, Elisabeth Hobden as past president, and Erika Persson as secretary-treasurer. Andy Marshall and Bob Foxford as board members. Ryan Shields and Lee Schofield. Jane Thornton and Laura Purcell, again as board members. I would like to thank the board actually for hanging in there for virtual meetings this past year, when I'll admit sometimes it felt really long. I wish that we could have shared the camaraderie of being together in person, but I really do appreciate your efforts. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the chairs of the standing committees for their ongoing work, often behind the scenes, which really ensures Casem's smooth sailing and ongoing momentum. Particularly the Credentials Committee Chair Kent Pottle and Chief Examiner Brian Barudis, the Communications Chair Tatiana Jevimovic, Selection Committee Chair Richard Gowdy, Publications Committee Chair Julie Peltz, Research Committee Chair Ken Trin, CPD Committee Chair Andy Marshall, and the Postgraduate Education Committee Chair Wade Elliott, who will be stepping down, and Lindsay Bradley will be taking on that role. Many of the Casem interest groups have also contributed greatly over the past year, notably with webinars, and I want to acknowledge them, including the Endurance, Sport and Exercise Medicine interest group, Adaptive Physical Activity, Pediatric Sport and Exercise Medicine, and Medicine Through Movement. That picture there actually is a running trail through the forest near my home, and I ran that trail today. This picture is from last year. I ran that trail today, and the trilliums are out and almost at this last year's picture at this peak. It's absolutely gorgeous. Moving on to the next slide. Our annual awards reflect the strength of Casem, our membership, and it acknowledges the incredible contributions that individuals have made to their patients, their community, their medical learners, and to Casem itself. I would like to congratulate all of this year's well-deserving award winners. We have short pre-recorded video clips from the nominators, and we'll play those, and then we'll hear from the award recipients if they would like to speak. First will be Dr. Laura Cruz, who nominated Dr. Julia Alleyne for the Medal of Service Award. Congratulations, Julia. You are a great example of how someone can have a Casem career along with their medical practice and many other endeavors. Laura?
I'm pleased to say a few words about the recipient of the 2020 Medal of Service Award, Dr. Julia Alleyne. This award was introduced in 2016 to acknowledge the outstanding and exceptional contributions for the advancement of sport and exercise medicine in Canada. And Dr. Alleyne, Julia exemplifies that to a T. One of her principles in life and practice is to be of service to others. And she's done this in a variety of avenues, through education, through participation in sport, and in her own personal practice and patient care. In sport, she's contributed to the well-being of hundreds of athletes at the Olympic Games, the Pan Am, Para-Pan Am Games, and as Chief Medical Officer for skating and trampoline. Through education, through innovative programs like the very first and ongoing Casem exam prep course in Toronto, as chair of our fellowship committee, mentoring many other colleagues and residents and fellows from around the country through various stages of their career, even long after they finish their fellowship program. In her exemplary and patient-centered holistic patient care, Julia was one of the first sport and exercise medicine docs in Canada, I believe, who integrated the assessment and treatment of an athlete's mental health as early as the 90s, before what the rest of us were really even thinking about the importance of that. There's very few of you in the audience today, who've not been impacted by some of Julia's initiatives and contributions through service to sport. She's very well deserving of this award, and I hope you all join me in congratulating her. Julia, congratulations on your Medal of Service Award.
Thanks, Laura. Julia, would you like to come on and say a few words? Do we have Julia there, Dawn? No?
No, I don't see her, sorry. Unless she's,
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, well, we'll move on. Next will be Dr. Janet McMorty, who nominated Dr. Rich Trenholm for the Community Sport Medicine Physician of the Year Award. Congratulations, Rich. Rich lives and works just north of me in Simcoe, Muskoka, here in Ontario, and I can vouch that he has made a huge impact on the area with his energy and endeavors. Janet?
So Andy Marshall and I nominated Rich Trenholm for the Community Physician Award, which he so incredibly deserves. I think Rich embodies what makes Casem wonderful, the best in Casem. And not only is he so passionate about sport and exercise medicine, but he's so passionate about the community that he works in. I first met Rich when I was just a humble family medicine resident, and I went up to Huntsville to the endurance sports medicine course. And after a long conference that he was the primary organizer, we all volunteered at the Ironman Muskoka the following day. And of course, these things start at like 4 a.m, and he is up and at 'em and filled with energy and happiness and joy, never once a cranky word coming out of his mouth. And I was just thinking to myself, my God, how do I be more like this guy? And then when I moved up to the area, he was just so welcoming and an incredible resource for me starting out in my practice. So I think he does so much for his community. It's a small community that could be ignored. Not only that, he does so much for Casem at large, whether it be part of the board of directors, as well as starting new initiatives like our new podcast initiative. So I think, again, I'll reiterate, Rich embodies everything that makes Casem great, everything that makes community family physicians wonderful. I think he is so well deserved for this award. So congrats, buddy. You're the best. Way to go.
Thanks, Janet. Now, Rich, would you like to say something?
Rich is on, Margaret.
He is not on?
No.
Oh, okay. All righty. Next will be Dr. David Lawrence, who nominated Dr. Doug Richards for the...
So Andy Marshall and I nominated Rich.
Oh, sorry. Let's start again. So the next will be David Lawrence, who nominated Dr. Doug Richards for the Educator Mentor Award. Congratulations, Doug. The U of T community and its learners have, I think, been very fortunate to have your expertise. And now to David.
My name is David Lawrence, and I'm a primary care sports medicine physician in Toronto, and it is my absolute honor and privilege to be presenting Dr. Doug Richards with the Educator Mentor Award. This annual award recognizes a physician who has demonstrated long-standing and outstanding contributions in teaching, mentoring, and leadership in the field of sports and exercise medicine in Canada. Dr. Richards has worked as a sports medicine physician at the University of Toronto's David L. McIntosh Sports Medicine Clinic since 1984 and has been the medical director since 1989. During this time, he's mentored and taught numerous students across almost every discipline within sports medicine. Dr. Richards is also responsible for introducing undergraduate students to the field of sports medicine and inspiring them to explore careers within this field. He teaches 5 courses and soon to be 7 courses to undergraduate students within the Faculty of Kinesiology. He's also actively involved in graduate student teaching and mentorship, whereby he has sat and continues to sit on the thesis and examination committee for over 20 graduate students, both at the master's and PhD level. These students are completing projects and have completed projects directly related to the field of sports medicine. He is also intimately involved in teaching and mentorship within the University of Toronto PGY3 Sports and Exercise Medicine program, and this is both didactic and clinical teaching. He has received recognition for his excellence in teaching when he was a finalist for the TV Ontario Big Ideas Big Lecturer competition in 2009 and a semi-finalist in 2008. He was also invited to present at the prominent lecture series TED Talks, where he was invited to give a TED Talk on sports medicine, which currently has over 100,000 views on YouTube. And if you haven't seen it, definitely worth a watch. Lastly, I have personally had the privilege of knowing Dr. Richards as a teacher and a mentor and a friend for over 7 years. He has been monumentous in my learning and development as a sports medicine physician and has supported my career through his caring and dedicated teaching, both clinically and academically. I can say with confidence that there are numerous individuals currently working within the field of sports medicine from all disciplines who would share similar sentiments. So without further ado, I'd like to present Dr. Doug Richards with the Educator Mentor Award. Thank you for all your work, Doug.
Thanks, David. Doug, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you for those very kind words, David. And I'd like to thank the Casem board and any other selectors involved in naming me for this award. I'm very humbled to be in the company of the list of previous recipients. I love teaching. I'm inspired by students and the next generation of physicians. And I'd like to thank them, all the students, and well, they're not all students anymore, but all the young physicians who I've been a privilege to teach along the way. I'd also like to thank the people who've taught and mentored me. You know, getting positive feedback from students or those we've mentored is very rewarding. Recognition from peers is even more humbling, and I am truly humbled and grateful for this award. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Doug, and congratulations. Now, before we move on to the next award, I actually wonder, Dawn, if in the chat there was a message from Laura Cruz saying that Julia, could she send you Julia's response, her words she'd like to say in response to receiving the award. Julia's working a vaccination clinic in a hotspot in Toronto, apparently. Did you get anything to read out, Dawn?
I did not, but if I can, Laura can have the floor for 5 seconds if she wants. Yeah.
Sure.
Just let me put it. Just
Laura,
let me give.
You want to see if can you? Do you want to do that now, or do you want us to move on?
Okay, Laura can go ahead.
Laura, you're on mute, but you can unmute. Can she unmute herself?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes, hi, sorry, I'm just texting Julia. I'm not sure she's going to be able to send it again right now, but she does give everybody her regards. She's jabbing away at Jane and Finn. Those of you who know her is where her parents and where she grew up. So near and dear to her heart, but also one of Toronto's biggest hotspots. Anyway, I will pass along the kind words that people have shared on the chat. Thank you. I know she'll be delighted to hear those.
That sounds great. Thanks a lot, Laura. Let's move on. The recipient,
Margaret, sorry to interrupt. There was a question earlier from Brian Barudi's regarding the slate of officers.
can you read out the question?
Yeah, Brian wanted to ask about he has concerns over the representation being Ontario-centric, 7 Ontario, 1 Quebec, 2 Alberta, and the regional representation.
So, Dawn, you might be best with the broadest view of history to perhaps answer this, because I know that in the past, and it was before I was on the executive and before I was on the board, I believe there was geographical representation, was there not? And then that was changed on a vote from the board, I believe.
So no, so there was geographical representation before 2014. In 2014, the not-for-profit legislation changed and representation changed. And the way that the new legislation outlined representation was that members voted. In fact, if you look at our membership in Casem, almost 50% of our members come from Ontario. And if you look at the board of directors, actually that's, it shows clearly who our members are. And the way the not-for-profit legislation changed and why it changed was because they wanted to make sure that those areas that had larger representation had members on the board. Now, as you know, we take members at large from elections. So it's whoever the Casem membership votes. The only position on the board which is not elected by the membership is past president every year, for obvious reasons, because they're following their presidential year. So that is, we follow the line of the not-for-profit legislation. We can't, that's how you do, we cannot mandate area representation like we used to. So if that answers Brian's question.
Thanks, John. All right, let's move on. And the recipient of the Lifetime Member Award for 2021 is Dr. Preston Wiley. Preston has been a member and an integral part of Casem for over 35 years and was amongst the initial cohort of exam diplomats sitting the exam in 1990. Preston has a long and distinguished history in Casem's evolution over that time, and as a past president, helped lead the charge to change our name from Casem to Casem. And what I mean by that is Casem, C-A-S-M, to Casem, C-A-S-E-M, in 2010. He has previously chaired the Casem Research and Credential Committees and has been a co-director of the University of Calgary Sport Medicine Fellowship Program, as well as a member of the Casem Fellowship Committee, which is now called the Postgraduate Medical Education Committee. He has served as chair for Casem annual symposium several times, first in Calgary in 2001, then the Rendezvous International Conference in 2004 in Vancouver, the Pre-Olympic Conference in Vancouver in 2009, and most recently, our 50th anniversary meeting, which was planned for Banff last year, but alas was thwarted by COVID. Dr. Wiley is a fellow of the College of Family Physicians of Canada. He was co-director of the University of Calgary Sport Medicine Center, where he continues to work. He is an associate professor in the Faculty of Kinesiology and the Department of Family Medicine. He is on the editorial board of the Clinical Journal of Sport Medicine and is the current president of the Alberta Medical Association section on sport and exercise medicine. Preston was the coordinating team physician for Rugby Canada and served on the medical advisory committee of the International Rugby Board for 15 years. He continues to be involved as a physician for rugby, judo, wrestling, and varsity sports. I feel tired just reading that. So a couple of Preston's colleagues and friends have written short tributes to him, and I'll read them now. Nick Watati writes, "A life membership in Casem is a reflection of the commitment that Preston has demonstrated for more than 3 decades to the profession of sport medicine. But what is not so obvious is his genuine, thoughtful, and empathetic dedication to all the athletes, and equally importantly, his patients, who were and continue to be under his care." Ryan Barudis writes, "Preston and I have known each other for over 31 years. We met at the second Casem exam on Father's Day in Ottawa in 1990. We instantly bonded over our futile attempts at proving our clinical skills to the examiners." And in brackets, he writes, "I know I passed, but not sure about Preston." Since then, we have become good friends and enjoyed many laughs together. We often had a difference of opinion, like renaming Casem, C-A-S-M, but nothing a few drinks couldn't fix. In 2020, we traveled to the US Virgin Islands with our wives, and I must say, he can still hold his rum. I think one of the reasons our friendship lasted was he was the only one in Casem who was shorter than I am. While Preston has made many contributions to Casem, I will always remember Richard Backus and him as the Flying Tomatoes at the 1996 meeting in Montreal. They even brought the Cirque du Soleil troupe to their feet with their stunning performance. Preston is very deserving of receiving life membership in Casem, and I salute you, my little friend. I think we're going to have to offer Preston a bit of a rebuttal time after that roast from Brian. To me, Preston is a guy who can get the work done, but keep it fun. I recall late night drinks in Casem conference hotel bars with Preston and others, where the conversation was light, but no one was afraid to express their opinion. To me, this reflects one of the reasons why Casem works so well as an organization. And I think Preston is a great example of someone giving continuous, unfaltering contributions to Casem and sport and exercise medicine, and all the while enjoying the ride. Congratulations, Preston. Preston, would you like to say a few words? You're muted, so yep, there you go.
I got it now. I didn't start speaking, so I'm not a rookie completely. Don said I had about 20 minutes to reply to this great honor. Thank you to the board. That's very unexpected. And, you know, this award has got quite a difficult history. I'm lucky to be alive right now because some of the people who received this award in the past, it was because they were old. Well, Andrew Pipe is old. I'm not old. So, you know, I still have a few years left in me. So I'm hoping that's the case. Thank you for those very kind comments. And if anybody's seen me beside Brian Burghardt, he knows that I'm half a foot taller than he is. So there's a little bit of stretching the truth in all of these things. It is true, however, that I was very lucky to be involved in this organization for many years. And one of the great things about this organization, which was hinted at, is the number of friends that you meet, the ability to talk to people. And I've developed friendships from coast to coast and down to Brian's coast, down in the south. It's a real family. The other thing that's been very great about Casem is that we've had great administration through Jackie and Don over the years that I've been here. It's been an absolute treat to be able to work with people who get the job done, who hire good people. I think it's a real testament to all the boards that have supported Don, and maybe Don keeping the board in line all those years. So I thank Casem for all those experiences. I still plan to be around for a little while. And of course, one group that we always have to think about when we put in so much time to teams and medicine itself, which is more than just a 9-to-5 job, is I'd like to thank my family for supporting me all these years. You know, when you are involved like this, you're away from home, and that requires a lot of support from people. So thank you to the board for this tremendous honor. Congratulations to all those people who won awards again tonight. And Jamie, you and I will have to have a drink and talk about old at other time, because I saw your chat note. So thank you again. And there's supposed to be music, Dawn, according to your email.
I know, that was my threat.
Like the Oscars. Yeah, she was going to walk you off the stage there, Preston. Congratulations, Preston, and all the other well-deserving award winners. Now, next on our agenda is the Secretary Treasurer's Report, and I'm going to hand over the mic to Erika Persson. Erika?
Well, thanks, members, for joining us this evening. As this year's Secretary Treasurer, I will be just presenting a few slides on some of the year that was and how our finances have weathered the COVID storm. And then we'll be making 2 motions afterwards. So if we could change the slide, that's great. So 2020 was an unprecedented time for Casem as well as every human and physician and individual on this planet. And as such, it did impact many aspects of Casem's finances. Some of the positive things that have come out of 2020 is our membership numbers have increased, and this also brought some increased revenue for membership dues. But in order to serve our members, it costs a little bit more to provide all the member benefits that we do offer through Casem. This year, Casem was very successful in obtaining financial support through the government COVID funding, including the CEWS staff salary rebate and the small business loans that totaled about $60,000 this year. This allowed Casem to remain in the black and continue to pay the fixed costs that we were unable to defer or reduce, despite our significant reduction in income due to a number of events being canceled, postponed, and otherwise delayed. When it comes to our investment portfolio, as Cathy had talked about last year, we did change our types of investments, and are still a large portion of our business or our non-for-profit assets are in these investments, and thus will fluctuate when the markets change and undergo expected market corrections. So we have actually gained a little bit on our investments this year compared to last year, but again, this can change at any moment. And if there are any questions about the investment portfolio, please ask, and we will do our best to answer those questions or put the question forward to our financial advisor that is helping us manage our investment portfolio and get back to you. Looking at the reserve fund, and this may be where most of the questions may be coming from, our reserve fund holdings have increased for this year. People may be asking why. Many projects, as have been faced by many organizations, have been put on hold due to the COVID pandemic. However, we anticipate when these finally get up and running, which hopefully will be in the not too distant future, this fund will be decreased because the activities and the projects will be running. Activities such as the annual examination, our CPD, live CPD programming, our research grants, as well as our special projects grants. So even though we have more in the reserve fund, that a lot of the money is actually earmarked for when these projects are going to go forward. When we've been inquiring about what reasonable holdings are for nonprofit organizations, what we can come up with is that the guidelines are about 2 times our annual operating budget. And pre-COVID, our operating budget was plus or minus 1.2 million. So we are well within that reasonable holdings for a not-for-profit organization. In the future, we have lots of opportunities for new special projects, grants, as we remain very committed as an organization to our members to provide high quality services and opportunities. So this is another use of that reserve fund that will be dipped into when we are allowed to do things again like we have in the past. One thing that we would like to make a comment on is that we do need to financially protect ourselves. This pandemic was something none of us anticipated, predicted, or could have anticipated taking as long as it is. So we actually have to protect our future projects, that we actually have contracts and the financial penalties if we are deciding to alter, cancel, discontinue, such as our annual meetings. We've got contracts booked for the annual meetings from 2022 all the way through to 2024. So that's another reason why our reserve fund holdings have increased for 2020. So hopefully if everybody has had a chance to review the financial statements by our auditing group, I'd like to put forth the motion if there are no questions.
There is a question
Okay.
from Marnie Wesner. She asks, with the stronger than maybe expected financial outlook, will Casem be reinstituting the research grants this year?
So the board discussed that at our most recent board meetings, and for this year, so the 2020 year, we are holding off right now. However, when the projects are going to be moving forward in the years ahead, those research grants will be re-administered.
So all the research grants that were given out in 2020, we had requests from all those grant recipients to turn them over, continue them into 2021. None of them were used, actually, I think. Maybe Ken can, does Ken want to speak to that at all or no? I just see a comment from Ken. Okay.
There is another question from Brian Seamus. Oh, Ken is on mute, he says.
So I can see the question from Brian. Is the CBA bank loan part of our income? It is, if Dawn, and please correct me if I'm saying this incorrectly. However, the bank loan is considered one of our assets. However, if we pay it back within a certain deadline, December 2022, they will forgive a portion of it, but it is has to be included as one of our assets rather than one of our liabilities.
David Cudmore had raised his hand. I don't know what his question is. David, if you could type your question into the chat, I can pass it on.
I brought Ken Trin in to just address the first question.
Yeah, so there are quite many emails that I got from I guess from the membership within the last year. They're all very I guess interested, hoping to move forward in the next coming year, that there will be the grant, the Casem research grant coming back, and I can see there will be quite many people that will be interested to put an application in.
We do have a board meeting coming up in early June, and we certainly can discuss this again at the board meeting. This is something that can be, an ongoing discussion, and decisions can be made at any time. So we can put that on our agenda for the June board meeting.
Thank you, Margaret, for saying that. And yes, it is not a one and done decision. As things have happened this past year with all aspects of Casem, including the finances, we've had to make some difficult decisions in order to keep Casem up and running and not have to take too many membership benefits away. But yes, it is the intent that the research grants will be coming back. They are not gone. Any other questions? Give people a few moments for either in the Q&A or the chat.
Anything there, Rebecca?
Nope, it just says congratulations to awards from Paul Watson, and the only question was Marnie's, the one.
Okay. All right. So let's move forward with making that motion then. So if we can put the motion forward to the approve and accept the financial statements for Casem for the year 2020 as presented in the Dropbox folder.
And that needs to be seconded by someone, maybe in the chat.
It looks like Rich Trenholm has seconded. Stephen Joseph, Marianne Schindel.
Seconders.
Excellent. So it looks like that first motion to approve the audited financial statements have been approved by the membership. We'll move on to the next motion, and that is to, Dawn, if you can bring up the poll so I can read out the numerous names to appoint as Casem's auditors for 2022, the company of Ouseley, Hanvey, Clipsham, and Deep. And here, yes, we have almost 96% of the membership approving this. So thank you very much. And I'll turn it over back to Margaret to continue on this evening's program.
Okay, thanks, Erika. And thanks for all your hard work this past year as Secretary Treasurer, keeping the rest of the board informed as to how things were going. That's important. The election voting period ended on April 30th. And the results are in. I would like to welcome Dr. Ryan Shields to a second term as a member at large on the board, and a new welcome to Dr. Kim Koros. I really look forward to working with both of you during my past presidential year. And I wanted to thank the other candidates who were willing to put themselves forward for the election. We appreciate your efforts, and I hope that you'll stay interested and involved with Casem. It is now my pleasure to introduce Cathy Campbell, who is the incoming president. It has been a great experience working with Cathy over on the executive over the past couple of years. Cathy is a highly organized person and a methodical worker and will leave no stone unturned. Cathy, I'll hand it over to you.
Thankfully, I remembered to unmute. So good evening, bonsoir. I'm Cathy Campbell, and I'm honored to be the Casem president for 21-22. I'm planning on introducing myself a little bit and then describing a few goals for this year, building on the excellent work of all my colleagues. So I live in Toronto, and work at Cleveland Clinic Canada, but I'm actually from Nova Scotia. So I had to throw up a couple of pictures. So as you know, Nova Scotia is the home of the Blue Nose, and you find this beautiful vessel on our Canadian dime. It's the home of Dr. Robert Strang, who is our Chief Medical Officer for Nova Scotia and who has navigated the pandemic beautifully. He's very beloved. It's the home of Anne Murray from Spring Hill, Nova Scotia, who happens to be living in Halifax, Nova Scotia right now. It is the home of the lobster, and it happens to be the best lobster. And it's also the home of Peggy's Cove, of course. If we could have the next slide going. So my education, I went to 3 universities. I was at Dalhousie, at McMaster, and at UBC, but certainly my most fun and possibly my most valuable degrees were at Dalhousie. I did a phys ed degree there as well as a master's in exercise physiology. I spent 14 years in the US and practiced sports medicine and family practice as well. My loves in sport, I was a track athlete in field hockey, and ironically did not play soccer because there was no soccer for women in those days. I'll date myself. In the 70s, there was no women's soccer. The first Women's World Cup was actually in 1991. I coached track for many years, and my first job was actually with the Coaching Association of Canada. I had the fortune of being the team physician for the Canadian women's soccer team for many years, and have since worked with FIFA and managed to, even though I look way too young, I have been at 15 World Cups. The next slide. And this is a picture of the staff from the 2012 Olympics, where we won a bronze medal, and it was a very proud moment and a wonderful staff to work with. Next slide. So goals for 21-22. Building again on the work of many others, I wanted to highlight 3 areas. One is membership engagement. 2 is outreach to other professional groups. And 3 is promote our brand, raise our profile, and expand upon our products. So going to the next slide, looking at membership engagement. I know some of you, but there's many I don't know. And I would love to hear from you. I've put my email there, my personal email, and don't forget the J. It's cathyjcampbell@gmail.com. And don't hide your light under a bushel, as a professor once said to me. So tell me all the things that you're doing. I'm very interested. If there's something fabulous that you would like Casem to be doing, or new programs, etc., please let us know. Also, I'm planning on outlining or highlighting a few members from each province and territory this year, starting in July. So don't be shy, let us know what you're doing. Number 2, outreach to other professional groups, and Margaret's already covered this. We have met with various associations, as many have done before us in other years. We want to continue partnering with other groups and extend that. We had a wonderful partnership with Physical Medicine Rehab, and Kim Corris and I gave a webinar last fall, which was well received, and many others are engaged in similar ventures. Also, we want to identify, we have over 900 members. We'd love to identify members that would care to speak at other national conferences as well. We want them to know what we do and who we are. And the third area, third goal, I wanted to highlight 3 things. First, our CPD. And as you know, Dr. Andy Marshall's done an incredible job leading the CPD and the CPD committee. And they are going to continue, of course, this work. And they've pivoted beautifully into the virtual world. And I've seen lots of chat comments on how people enjoyed that this year as well. Secondly, we formed a committee co-chaired by Dr. Elisabeth Hobden and Dr. Jane Thornton to look at integrating exercise, physical activity education into the medical schools. And we've had some early committee meetings about this. And if you are interested, please contact either Dr. Hobden or Jane Thornton. And thirdly, we will work this year to implement the guidelines that we created last year. And if we go to the next slide, the committee members were from left to right, top row. We have Patty McCluskey, Tina Atkinson, Marnie Westner, Cole Beavis, myself, Bob McCormick, Steve Keeler. Steve and I were co-chairs, and Dawn. And we worked really hard all year to create a few different products. We created, did a survey of the membership and created a PowerPoint on your comments and information around the remuneration guideline. We created a position paper and updated the one from more than 10 years ago. And finally, we created a contract template along with Tina Atkinson led this, as well as Dawn. And we worked with a lawyer in Ottawa, Steve Indig. And all of these products are on the website for your use, and hope they are helpful. We're also now working with some stakeholders to make sure that these products are being accepted. So we've already had some meetings with the COC, CPC, Commonwealth Games, Youth Sports, Jeux de Francophone, and Sport Canada, to name a few. So hopefully that will be ongoing through this year. And certainly we'd love to hear more from all of you. So thanks very much. And those are my comments for today. And I really look forward to working with you all. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Cathy. So one of the goals of the executive over the past few years has been to ensure a continuum of momentum and involvement through the executive positions, from Secretary Treasurer through to past president. And to ensure that those of us in these positions are always well informed and share in decision making, to ensure essentially that projects continue to progress and don't stall when a president finishes their year or when a past president steps off the board. Elisabeth Hobden, who is our past president, will be stepping off the board on July 1st. Elisabeth has shown how well the continuum from the role of president to past president can work. She has been very actively involved and a huge assistance to me as president. She has been level-headed and helpful in decision-making. I want to say thank you for both for myself and for Casem for all the time and effort, Elisabeth, that you have given to the board over the past years. A thank you gift for Elisabeth is in the works. TBA, shall we say, Don? But it's coming. And now Elisabeth.
Email box as we speak, so she has to check that.
Excellent. And Elisabeth, would you like to say a few words?
So thanks, Margaret. And thanks to all of you. It's been a great pleasure and an honor to work with all of you over the past 6 years. It's flown by, and it's a time that I'll look back on very fondly, getting to work with everybody on the board and meeting many of our members who really make Casem what it is today. And it's been a pleasure working with Dawn and Rebecca and Helen and Lindsay and getting to know them better. It is a fantastic team that we have, and all the things that you've seen tonight are the result of those people working together as a team. So it's been a pleasure to be a part of that, and I thank you. I think what has spoken to me over the past 6 years is that Casem's strength is really in its memberships, and that's you, and it's people getting involved about things that they're passionate about, and finding a place where they can make a difference. And so as I leave the board and I see it going into the very capable hands of Dr. Cathy Campbell, working with Margaret Burghardt as past president, and Erika Persson, I just know that this is well positioning Casem to continue working with the team. And I'm excited to see the new members come forward and work. So I just very much wanted to say thank you for the opportunity for working with you, and it's been a pleasure. So thank you.
Thanks, Elisabeth. Let's see. I would like to really echo Preston and Elisabeth's comments and offer a special thank you on behalf of myself, the board, and you, the membership. I'll take that liberty, to our amazing, committed, and unfailingly good-humored head office staff, to Dawn, Helen, Rebecca, and Lindsay. Thank you for all your hard work and for your personal investment in Casem, really. It's more than just a job for all of you, I think, and I really appreciate that. I know how much effort you have specifically been putting in for preparing for next week's symposium, which is a whole new endeavor. In addition to everything else that you do, your efforts have not gone unnoticed. So thank you very much. So, and our lastly, thanks everyone for participating, for giving us your time this evening. Stay engaged, stay well, carve out some time for yourself away from COVID news and work demands. We appreciate everyone's contributions to making Casem a vibrant organization and a community. Thanks and good night.